Hello, welcome back to another episode of Come Back Stronger. I'm Dana Brooks with my law partner Jimmy Fasig of the Fasig Brooks Law Offices. We have got a great show for you today. This man will inspire you. If you think you've been born with some sort of a disadvantage that's going to keep you from following your dreams and reaching your potential, not after listening to this guy. We have got Alan McCall on today, and you know him, Jimmy, from your Come Back Stronger Facebook group.
Yeah, he joined the Come Back Stronger Facebook group. I got to know him. He told his story, which I absolutely love. And one of the greatest elements of a great comeback story is when somebody has a challenge and then they turn that challenge into their greatest strength. And in this case, Alan is, he's legally blind. And so that's been a challenge for him. So what does he do? He goes into the radio business, and he's a fantastic radio announcer. And he has made it his mission in life. Really what he wants to do is he wants to bring back that old classic country music. So, but he's got that love and that passion for music, but he's turned his disability into his advantage.
Yes, and because think about it, originally you'll find out that he was trying to be a cartoonist, and you can imagine, what a limitation your sight impairment would be in that. But then he fell in love with radio stations, being in there in the control room, spinning the records, whether it's the tape, whatever it is. But he learned to use whatever he had to the maximum to be able to do a job that he thought was not attainable for him.
Well, what I always say is focus on your strengths. Focus on your strengths, because every single one of us has strengths and weaknesses. When you focus on your strength and you don't worry about the weaknesses, that's where you're going to shine.
You just don't accept that.
Yes, that's exactly what Alan has done.
We are going to come right back after this break, and we're going to have Kimmy Hogan, our law partner, her first segment of her interview with Alan McCall.
They might show up at your door with a check for $500 to try to get you to sign on the bottom line. They will do anything they can to save the insurance company money, and if you hire a lawyer and come back stronger, then you are going to be dealing with them on a level playing field.
You know what I tell my clients is that Come Back Stronger is not just a slogan, it's a game plan.
Yes.
Because in order to get you fair compensation, we have to prove to the insurance company that you are doing everything you can to get better.
Yes.
And when you do everything you can to get better, if you're still hurting, then insurance company, you better pay. Because we want to make you whole. So it's not just an idea of let's make you better after this horrible thing happened. It's a plan to make you better.
And I think in coming up with that plan, it makes us better lawyers too.
100%.
Because I think having that game plan helps us achieve more and be more successful for the client.
And we are back with Kimmy Hogan's first part of her interview with Alan McCall.
So when did you decide you wanted to get into radio?
Well, originally, radio was not my career choice. I wanted to be a cartoonist. I had learned to draw Snuffy Smith, the old mountain man cartoon, and developed a cartoon strip of my own. And I was about 10 years old, so I know nothing about cartoons being syndicated, that kind of thing. And so I worked about a year on developing this cartoon strip, and I got brave one day and mailed them to the Tallahassee Democrat. And Mr. Malcolm Johnson was the editor, and he sent me back a really cordial reply, but it says, we can't use cartoons just drawn out on paper like this. They go through a syndicate, and he explained how that worked. And when I looked at my cartoons, I was like, I just don't think I'm quite good enough to make it in the world of cartooning. Although I continued to draw for fun, and friends would say, draw me a cartoon, and I would. But I really didn't think I had what it took to be a cartoonist. And so there was a period of time right after that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just real unsure, and I'm 12, going on 13, kind of that unsure of what I want to do with my future anyway. And one afternoon, we had just come in from church, and I tuned in 1330, which back then was playing country, as WMEN.
And that was a radio station.
That was a radio station, and they had a contest on there, and the DJs were purposely making mistakes, and they would say, if you catch us making a goof, call us and tell us what that goof is, and you got a chance to win. I said, I won a contest and went into the radio station. Mom took me down there, and so they're like, the prizes are right there. And so I'm there, and then I look and I see the DJ at work, and there's buttons and machines and turntables, and I'm mesmerized. I'm just, Mom, look, I could do that. I could do that. And that's the day that the idea of going into radio became more than just a passing thought. It's like, I really would like to do that. And so that day, and I believe it was maybe 1974, I think that was the day that the idea of trying to get into radio as a career got started.
I love it. And let's fast forward real quick to what you're doing now.
All right. Now I'm actually the manager and operator and program director and janitor of WDXD 101.9. That's here in Tallahassee. It's a classic country radio station, and we also play bluegrass, some traditional country, but it sounds a little bit different. And a lot of our music came from a station that I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with, 93.3 Real Talk. So we have thousands of songs, and we have bluegrass and country music that goes back to the 45s. And Kimmy, we also play records. We've got vinyl, we've got turntables.
So tell me a little bit about the radio industry and how it works. I know you got into it many moons ago.
I did.
And so what was it like back when the music wasn't digitized? And so people are really just playing vinyl, and they've got a microphone up to it and it broadcasts?
Our original studio at WTAL 1450 was out on North Monroe Street at a converted house, and the studio was in a room that was about a third the size of this one. So not a lot of space, but we had turntables on the right. We had a reel-to-reel, and we had what they call cart machines, and that's tapes that look like 8 tracks, but they aren't. And the commercials would be on those, the legal ID for the station, that kind of thing would be on the carts. And it was mostly you and that little bit of equipment to keep everybody entertained. And so it was quite a challenge, and because you're juggling all these things, answering the phone, all the time, it was like constant motion. So now it's a little bit more of sitting at the computer and click ever so often, although at our station, we, as I mentioned, we still play vinyl and some CD. We have tons of CDs, so we do have the CD thing going on too. So.
That's really neat.
But the technology has really changed. That was 1979. That was 42 years ago, and myriad changes.
Oh, I believe it. Well, let's talk about, so you are legally blind.
Yes, that's correct.
What was it like getting into the radio industry being legally blind?
It was hard. My vision is 20/400, and I had surgeries as a child, which got me to where I am now. The first station I tried to get hired at was back then WTNT 1270 Country Dynamite. They were playing 45s on records too, so I was kind of used to that. And I auditioned for them, and their program director was not impressed. And he said, "You're not ready. That it's raw. I can see something, but you're not there. But you can come in after hours and kind of shadow some of our DJs if you would like." And I took him up on that offer, and I went in after hours, and that's where I kind of learned how to run everything, because it can be daunting looking at a control board with 12 knobs and machines everywhere and blinking lights. But once you get to the fact that, okay, it's just 12 volume controls, that's all it is, it simplifies it for you. And so I actually learned how to run a station there. And I'm still friends with a couple of the guys there. One of them is named Sandy Young, and if he sees this, he's going to say, "Oh my gosh, I remember that kid." and he's on my Facebook, so we've stayed in touch. And he's actually been through Tallahassee in the last couple of years. And so I learned how to do things at WTNT, but I came to realize my career was not going to be starting there. Yeah. It's just not going to happen here. And the afternoon DJ was named John Chomey, and he said, if you try WTAL, they need overnighters. They can't keep overnighters because everybody has to show up night after night, and people don't want to keep showing up midnight to 6 all the time. And so I applied there, and a gentleman named Tommy D, or Tom Jersey Polsky, he was my first radio boss, and he gave me a chance in 1979.
Oh,
and
wow.
that launched my career, but it was a tough road to start.
So we've got to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, I want to hear more about that.
All right.
Oh, what a great story.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
And what I love about what he's done is he decided to turn his passion into a profession. He's got this passion for classic country music. And so when we have these comeback stories come on here, a lot of times it's the classic comeback story is you overcome a challenge, you learn lessons from the challenge, and then you come back and somehow benefit society or humanity from what you've learned. A lot of the people that come on are they're running charitable organizations, but that's not necessary. You don't have to be in a charity to contribute to humanity. If you're doing what you're passionate about, if you're doing what you love, and you're spreading that love to everybody else, you are contributing. You're doing the best you possibly can, because that's what it's all about. It's elevating the mood. It's about making everybody happy. And country music for him makes him happy, and he's making everybody else happy by playing it.
Well, what I heard from this last bit was he knew he needed an in. He knew he needed to get his foot in the door. And so he took some jobs that were undesirable, things that other people didn't want to do. And sometimes you just have to do that. You have to get that foot in the door, take your shot, make yourself invaluable, make yourself irreplaceable. Next thing you know, you are in the big office. You are in the driver's seat. That's right.
Sometimes you take that first leap. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, and now he's doing something of value for the society generally, as I understand from country music lovers.
Yes.
The old school people like my granny, they like the bluegrass and they like the Conway Twitty and that kind of stuff, and some of this new country music that is real popular with the young people. It's got some hip hop influences and stuff. So he has given some people exactly what they want to hear. So he is contributing in many big ways.
I think I told you, I actually like the old country music.
Yeah.
I like all
I like
the
bluegrass.
old stuff.
Yeah.
I know all the words to all the old songs.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah.
But the idea of him going in there blind, and there's lights and buttons that you have to do, and he just said, you know what, I'm going to do this, and he learned how to do it. He learned how to adapt, and now he runs his own radio station.
Yeah.
Cool.
When we come back after the break, you'll hear how that came about. That's an exciting story, how he got that opportunity. But we'll be right back after this break.
To me, Come Back Stronger is about starting the case with a plan and with a goal of not just to get back to where you were, but to actually move forward in your life. When an insurance company sees that you've been hurt and you've been in an accident and you've got medical bills, you've got pain and suffering, you have property damage to your vehicle, you are at a very low point in your life. And what an insurance company will do is they will try to take advantage of you. They might show up at your door with a check for $500 to try to get you to sign on the bottom line.
They'll show up at the hospital.
They'll show up at the hospital. They'll tell you not to get an attorney. They will do anything they can to save the insurance company money. And if you hire a lawyer and come back stronger, then you are going to be dealing with them on a level playing field.
And we are back. We're ready for Kimmy Hogan's second part of her interview with Alan McCall.
All right, so we were talking about 1979.
Yes.
And your first job in radio.
That was at WTAL here in Tallahassee.
WTAL. And then what was the next step that you took?
Well, the next step was that a year later, a new owner came in to WTAL from Ohio, and he fired us all. Oh. so it was like, okay. Well, I was going to FSU, and I had actually taken some time off from going to college to work the overnights. And so I decided this is probably a good time to get back into FSU and work on my degree in communication, which I did do, and I graduated in 1984 because I was working my way through. So I ended up kind of not knowing what my next station was going to be. And a friend of mine named Art Myers, who many people will recognize from Channel 6 TV and News, we had been friends since childhood. And I ran into Art at the North Florida Fair in October of 1983 Art said, Alan, you looking for anything in radio these days? I said, actually, I am. He said, well, I'm leaving WCVC 1330, which was then the only Christian radio station in town. He said, I'm leaving that to go to Channel 6, and I need to find somebody that can at least fill in. And so he introduced me to Brian Cerny, and Brian was my next radio boss. And he said, are you available Saturday mornings by chance from sign on to noon? Yes, sir. You're hired.
I love it.
Because weekenders were hard to get because they had to show up, 6 a.m., weird times, sometimes overnighters. Although WCVC only operated in the daytime. That was part of their license. And so there was no more overnights, but there was really long days, like 6 a.m. to 8:45 at night or something like that sometimes.
It sounds like you were doing whatever you could to get into radio and just do great at it, right? Taking the late night shifts, taking the morning shifts.
Whatever they asked me. Yeah, whatever they asked me, because I wanted it so bad. It was just something that, it was a burning desire. I just wanted to do radio, and I just want to be good at it if I can be good or great or whatever. Yeah. And so I did. And WCVC actually did well when I was managing there in 1999. We paid off the mortgage to that station.
Oh, that's great.
And my boss was thrilled. He flew down from Illinois and took us all out for steak dinners. He's like, we're celebrating. We have paid this off,
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so that was a good day for WCVC.
So let's talk a little bit about your vision. Sure. Your vision, how well can you see?
Well, it's kind of hard to describe to people who actually have perfect vision, but I can see you, and I can see when you motion to me and things. But as far as reading, I wouldn't be able to read anything hardly. It's hard to read, but I can see people. But picking them out, like if it was a crowd of people, picking someone out, say if you walk into a church and there's a whole congregation, it's really hard for me to pick out an individual in something like that.
So how did that affect your ability to select the music? Was there Braille on the...
Actually at WTL, we had a totally blind guy named Ray Slayton, and he did have things brailled, but I never learned Braille myself. I just looked close, and for a lot of years I wore glasses a lot.
That would allow you to see like that.
Yeah, that helped me see. But I was able to read everything, so it didn't take anything different.
And then what led to you being able to have your own studio now?
What started the station I have now was a phone call from Texas, and it was an engineer friend. His name is Leo Ashcraft, and he said, Alan, there's a chance to build a low-power FM in Tallahassee. And he said, I can put you on 101.9 with 33 watts. And I kind of said, Leo, I said, 33 watts? I said, I can't do anything with 33 watts. He said, if there's any person living in Tallahassee, Florida that can do something with 33 watts, it's you.
And can you tell us what that means for non-radio folks?
Yeah, for non-radio people, 33 watts, that's actually the power that we put out at the antenna to cover a certain territory. And so that's compared to what we call the big boys, which are your 100,000 watt FMs. Well, 33 watts, there's light bulbs stronger than that. But nevertheless, this station covers about 10 miles. It gets a little iffy on this side of town, over where your office is. But out east and out toward Chairs and out toward Woodville, we have great coverage out there. And because we have the classic country, there's a lot of folks living out in the more rural areas that love it. And but to get back to how that started, the engineer said, I can put you on with 33 watts. And I said, well, that's really small, And so he was like, well, I think you could do it. So I thought, well, I'm going to ask my wife about that. She's going to say, nah. So I said, Marianne, what do you think about this idea? I think you should do this. I said, really? Yes, you will regret it if you don't. And so she actually was very supportive of this. And Mom and Dad, I couldn't have done it without them. They helped front some of the upfront costs to build it, which was about $30,000, which we paid back. and now we're actually expanding and building a nicer studio. They're the same place, same place, but in a little modular building.
Yeah.
And so we're upgrading. We started out in a construction site trailer that's 8 by 26. That's just over 200 square feet, and we have seriously outgrown that because music, records, CDs, they keep coming in there, and so we've kind of outgrown it, But we built the station. We put it on the air in the summer of 2015, so we're going on 7 years. It is debt-free. It's not super profitable yet, but it's, I feel, going in the right direction. And we're hoping that more people will discover us in the classic country format that is unique to the area.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. For one more time for our listeners, will you let them know what the radio station is again?
Sure, Kimmy. It's WDXD 101.9, and we are here in Tallahassee, and we are classic country. That's our primary format. We have bluegrass on Saturday night, and we have some Christian programming on Sundays, some Southern gospel, a little bit of classic Christian music, which was given to us by WCVC, incidentally. When they sold and it changed to Catholic program, they gave us all of the music out of that station. And that's happened from several radio stations. Hence, I just feel like the Lord and the community have really been good to us, and I hope more people can discover us.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Oh, how inspiring.
Yeah, he's a great guy. One of the things I love about that story is I always believe that life is always guiding us to become the highest and best version of ourselves. And sometimes it's not in the most pleasant way.
Yeah, you got to tap into it.
In this case, he got fired, and it was because he got fired that led to a cascade of events that ended up with him now being happy and owning his own studio, which obviously he's thrilled about.
Right.
So I thought that was a really cool.
I did too, and I think he was very in tune to life sending him these signals, because when one door shut for him, he's like, well, education. I need to finish this degree. I'm a big fan on going back to school anytime you want. You are never too old to be educated in anything. So he does that. He realizes he has more resources than he thought. He dropped a lot of big names from this community around there. He had a lot of contacts that I don't think he realized were probably pulling for him in ways he never imagined. Next thing you know, another door is open to go into a studio. Next thing you know, here, start it up. Well, it's not big enough. I thought that was funny. He said there's light bulbs with more power than that station. But not really, he found a way to shine his light.
What I love about it is he said, I wanted it so bad. He was willing to do the night shifts. He was willing to do the Saturday shifts, right? That's when you're willing to put the effort and the time into becoming great at what you do, and then you're willing to put the passion and the love into it to benefit other people so that you can spread what you love, you are guaranteed success.
You are.
Those are the fundamentals of success. So yeah, it's cool. He's a cool guy.
And then anything we tell our children, they don't believe you when you say, do something you're passionate about.
Yes.
Don't just get a paycheck. Don't just, go to school and get a degree because you think it's going to pay the most money. If you follow your passion, I promise you, the universe is going to send you the signals to put you exactly where you're supposed to be. We've seen it happen too many times, you and I.
Happens all the time.
With some of our clients. They come through some very bad parts of their lives, and the next thing you know, they're living their very best life.
Yes.
So I've seen it too many times to not believe it with my whole heart. But we'll be back right after this break, and we'll do a wrap up.
I love nothing more than when a former client refers me a friend or a relative, because that shows me that they really appreciated what I was able to do for them.
And the thing that's most rewarding to me and the thing that I'm proudest about with this firm is that we truly do love our clients. I've got them in my phone. I follow them on social media. I celebrate when they have their grandbabies or when they change jobs or when they have, their first baby. And that's real. And it's so rewarding from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint. And I think that realness and that relationship helps us make their cases so much better too.
100%.
They're not just another number to us. They're not just a cog in the wheel. They're not just a way for us to make a living. It's just a way for us to have better lives ourselves by getting to know so many clients and helping them.
I think that's why so many of our clients come back to us. and send people that they love
That's true.
and know to us.
That's the best part.
It's the highest compliment you could get. And we are back. You know, Jimmy, I was thinking about some of the things he said and all the encouragement he had within his own support system at home. He's got 2 parents who said, hey, I'm right behind you. We'll help you out. We'll loan you some money. He's already, you know, been able to pay them back, and now he's expanding and he's debt free. But I thought about this discussion when he came home and told his wife that this is what he wanted to do, and he was probably going, this is probably where this dream ends. And then she just said, no, ballyhoo, let's do this.
She said, you'll regret it if you don't.
You'll regret it if you don't.
And that is so true about opportunities. They say when you're on your deathbed and you're thinking about, you're looking back at your life, what are you going to regret the most? It's the opportunities that you passed up, that you didn't take advantage of because you were afraid of the risk.
Yep.
Right, because it puts things in perspective. And so I really appreciate that his wife said that, because she was 100% right. He would have regretted it.
And that's another reason I would imagine he feels very reinforced that he's exactly where he's supposed to be in the world. I got the right people around me, I've got the right stuff going on, and good things are happening for me. But you know, if you don't have a great support system like that, you can go online and you can find groups of people. That's why Jimmy started his Comeback Stronger Facebook groups.
It's the Fasig Brooks Comeback Stronger group. Yeah, and that's how I met Alan. And that's how I meet a lot of great people who are there to support each other, to come back stronger from whatever challenges life throws at us.
Right. And sometimes, you know, if you don't have that system, build it. You know, you'll build that system. And it doesn't have to be family. It doesn't have to be somebody you're married to, living with, anything. You can get encouragement in a lot of places.
Well, it's fascinating to me because a lot of people reach out to me and they say, hey, you know, I need some encouragement, I need some motivation. And they're like, I know you're super busy. I know you're super busy.
I hear that all the time.
But I never say no.
No.
Because I've always got time for somebody that needs some guidance or motivation. I think that's not just me though. It's most people that have succeeded in life and that have gone really far, they're happy to share what they've learned.
Yeah, they want to see you succeed too.
Yes, so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out to others to try to get the help that you need.
And I'll tell you something else. I get on social, I get a lot of people saying, this is my sister, this is my daughter, she needs to be on your show. If you know somebody who has a great Comeback Stronger story, reach out to us. We'd love to have them on. Just follow us on social, and we will see you next week for another episode of Comeback Stronger.
Bye, everybody. And you know what the insurance company offered him? $5,000. Really? He's completely blind, and they offer him $5,000. Ask him to sign a release.
To a lot of people, especially when they're hurting and when they're down and when they're vulnerable, $5,000 is a life-changing amount of money. And they're not looking at the value of what has been lost. They're not looking at what it would take to make that person whole, which is our job. That's our job. Their job isn't. Their job is to save the insurance company money. And they look at this person and they go, I bet $5,000 would get your full attention. And they come in and they dangle it with a settlement release, and then once you sign it, you're done. You can't come back to us and ask us to wave a magic wand and make that go away. That can't go away.